The Fire Inside is a little movie that I just saw today, directed by Rachel Morrison. It stars Ryan Destiny and Brian Tyree Henry. This thing kind of got crushed at the box office because for whatever reason they decided to release it the same weekend as Nosferatu and all these other big movies coming out. This movie's fantastic. Like, this thing is really, really well made. It's directed by Rachel Morrison, who is the cinematographer for Black Panther and Fruitvale Station, so she's clearly in the Ryan Coogler school of directing. This is an incredibly well-directed movie. For if you don't know anything about this story, and I really didn't know anything about it, Ryan Destiny plays Clarissa Shields. This is based on a true story. This is a sports biopic, a boxing biopic movie. Clarissa Shields is was an Olympic boxer and is now a professional women's boxer. And it is just mainly about her journey from start to kind of right before her big rise to fame, I guess. She's from Flint, Michigan. So throughout the whole movie, most of the movie takes place like around 2012 to 2013, 14-ish, give or take, I think. So Flint, Michigan is just the background of this film like the whole time. And obviously with the water crisis going on and how Flint is kind of a very forgotten town. You know, it's not the richest town in America, unfortunately. And having that be the backdrop for this movie is very powerful and very well done. You can tell Rachel Morrison is a cinematographer first because I think you can tell she knows where to point the camera. It's really, really good. But the kind of the main story is just Clarissa Shields' rise as a boxer and the sexism, overt and not overt sexism that she experiences throughout her sports and just in her life, generally speaking. Basically, I don't want to spoil this too much, but you kind of have to spoil this movie, so I guess I am going to spoil most of it, where she becomes a boxer. Brian Tyree Henry is her trainer. He's just a volunteer guy at the local gym that loves boxing, does it for the love of the game, and those two become very close, and it's, you know, one thing leads to another, and she is qualifying for the 2012 Olympics that take place in London. She gets there, she wins the gold medal. It's this big upset. She's clearly, you know, a force to be reckoned with, and the hope is that winning this gold medal is going to change everything in her life. She's going to get money. She's going to help out her family, who we see glimpses of every now and then, and they are in poor financial condition. And essentially, she wins the gold, and nothing really changes. She doesn't get sponsorships. She doesn't get deals. She doesn't get advertisements going. Like, it just doesn't work out for her, and she's not sure why. People are angry about it. She's mad about it. She's asking people what the heck is happening. And throughout the whole movie, she's dealing with this sexism that is overt plainly overt, but in a way that is not like insulting or over the top. I'd say nobody is like going around her and being like, "You're a girl, you can't box, what are you doing?" Like, that's not happening. But there are moments where she's giving interviews or she's questioning, like, what is wrong? Why do I not have the advertisements of like Michael Phelps or Serena Williams or whoever or other Olympic athletes? And there's one specific scene that happens pretty late on in the movie where two people from corporate, basically the Olympic Boxing Committee for America, say like, it's your image and it's women's boxing in general. Like, there's not enough money in it, and there's a certain expectation that female athletes are held to that men aren't. Women athletes are expected to be still dolled up and wear makeup and not be quote unquote manly. You're a boxer, but you can't talk about how you love to box and like knock people out. Like, no, that's not very feminine. And it could have come across as very like preachy and in your face and really annoying, but it just straight up does not. Like this, and I think it's mainly because of how well acted this movie is across the board. These performances feel very real and lived in. These are not somewhat people that are just like reading off cue cards or getting overly preachy. There are like 2 or 3 big moments where if there was cheesy music, the cheesy music would swell and the spotlight would come down on her and she would give this grand speech about, why sexism is bad, but it never happens. It doesn't happen like that. Her moments feel very real. Her moments of anger feel justified and very lived in. Ryan Destiny clearly has the acting juice. She was fantastic in this movie. Brian Tyree Henry, this guy's just like, I guess, one of our most reliable actors in a way. He has his Oscar nomination from Causeway, which is not the best movie ever, but he's awesome in it. He's in the Godzilla and Kong movies, which is just like, good for him, go get a paycheck. He was great in Atlanta for when he was on that, and now he's great in this. This is the first time I've seen him in a while, I guess since Godzilla and Kong, that movie. He's fantastic in it. He just plays he plays like such a stereotypical like boxing trainer, boxing coach that does it for the love of the game and is a hard ass, but at the same time has a soft side. It's just really well done. The relationship that those two have on screen at all times is full of charisma and very electric. Like you can't take your eyes off the screen. Like I said, this is a boxing movie. How are the boxing scenes? The boxing scenes are really well done, really fresh. For me, I'm a huge Rocky fan. Rocky is my favorite franchise. I have those movies basically memorized. I have the fight sequences in those movies memorized. And that the way Rocky was made back in the day, those movies, the boxing is just very different. It's way more over the top. The sound effects sound like gunfire going off basically whenever a punch connects. It's really really great stuff for the 80s and the 80s and 90s. But then it kind of seems like there was a hold on boxing movies for a little bit, where we had like Jake Gyllenhaal's Southpaw or $1 Million Baby, where I don't think the fight scenes necessarily stand out in those movies. I don't think they're necessarily bad, but they certainly don't elevate the movie. And then Ryan Coogler came along with Creed. And from that point on, I feel like there is a template to do boxing fights on now. And Coogler did Creed, changed the game. It's very much felt like almost like Ryan Coogler directed these boxing scenes. And that's not a slight on Rachel Morrison. She clearly knows what she's doing. These scenes, the boxing fights felt very fresh. The camera movements were different. There were long takes, there were short takes. There wasn't too much cutting around the action to hide performances or anything. The boxing fights felt very real, more or less. You can see punches connect. You don't really see any big, gaps or anything like that. I think it's really well done. It felt fresh because you obviously have your Rocky movies where it's over the top. Then you have like your Creed movies where there's longer takes, kind of, where you can tell Michael B. Jordan is really doing this and they're really taking punches and stuff. And then this kind of felt like it was somewhere in the middle, where there is some cutting and there's really cool camera movements and there's different angles that you've never seen in a boxing fight before. But at the same time, there is still a level of kind of like cinematography and just like overall like choices were made in lieu of like keeping it more realistic and just like, hey, this is cool to look at. There are some quick camera shifts that happen where that things like that didn't happen in the Creed movies. So there is definitely like an evolution taken in these boxing scenes, and I'm very happy about that. It's really good. I am a sucker for a boxing movie. There's not many boxing movies that I hate. I'm not even sure I can think of one right now. Maybe Rocky 5. Sorry, Rocky 5. You're not a good movie. But this boxing movie is different because it's almost entirely not about the boxing. Which is very like kind of cheesy to even say, where like, yeah, Rocky's not about the boxing, it's about this guy coming up from rags to riches, yada yada yada. But this one is overtly not about the boxing because the climactic fight scene happens in the middle of the movie. This is like a 1 hour 50-minute movie, and 55 minutes in, the last boxing scene happens. Like the fight happens, she wins the gold medal, and it's like, oh, well, what's the next 45 to 50 minutes about? And it's about, her lack of respect and why she doesn't get the endorsements and she feels like nothing in her life has changed after winning a freaking gold medal in the Olympics. And it's really good stuff. It's about, you know, the fights that she has been in her whole life before she ever started boxing. And yeah, that's cheesy to say, but it really works. I can't recommend this movie enough, actually. This is going to be one of my 10 to 15 favorite movies this year for sure. It's kind of sucks that this is kind of getting buried behind just a bunch of movies that got released around Christmas Day. Like, I'm only just getting to it now. It's been out for almost a month. But that's just the way it is sometimes, I guess. I don't know. The release schedule for this was just kind of a real bummer, and there hasn't been a ton of marketing around it, which also hurts because this thing would be like a cable classic in 10 years. I feel like this is a straight down the middle. Like, absolutely nobody's going to get insulted by this movie, and 99% of people are going to be like, that was really good, and then like 1% are just going to be like, just another sports biopic movie, like it's fine. For me, I'm in the 99% where I'm like, oh, this thing is incredible. And I hope I'm right, that people will like really like this, and maybe they'll go to see it, and maybe this will become like a big thing on streaming whenever it hops over there. I am left thinking about this movie a lot, especially just how well acted it was. Because there is a line that you toe in these sports movies and biopics and sport biopics where you get too cheesy, too preachy, way too dramatic, too serious. And it feels like the actors are just like, quote unquote, going for it, where it's a harm to the movie. And this is absolutely not a harm to the movie. The humbleness that you feel in all the characters, I think, really grounds this movie to the exact level that it needs to be at. It's just a really solid movie. I keep thinking about, you know, there's the old saying, oh, it's a fastball down the middle. That's like a 3 out of 5, like a 6 out of 10 movie. Like, it's good. It knows exactly what it's doing. We know how it's coming. It's just a 95 mile an hour fastball down the middle. No questions asked. This movie, I say, is like a 99 or a 100 mile an hour fastball that's like painting the corners. It's not the best pitch you've ever seen, but it is something that you aren't able to hit. It's a really impressive pitch. It's not, you know, it's no slider or sinker that goes 90 some miles an hour, but this is like a 98 mile an hour fastball painting a corner for strike 3. It's really impressive stuff. I look forward to seeing what else Rachel Morrison does. I look forward to seeing what Ryan Destiny does with her next movie, which I don't know what it is, but she, again, is just full of charisma in this. Brian Tyree Henry, obviously full of charisma, just doing his thing of just completely crushing a role. I can't say enough. Go see The Fire Inside. Again, based on a true story. It's good stuff. I love an end credit sequence that gives me like a paragraph or two of text afterwards that tells me the real story. And is like, oh, what happened after the movie ended? And it's like, well, hey, guess what? She won another gold medal in 2016. So that's pretty cool. And just an awesome movie. I was really blown away with how many good choices this movie made, because it could have gone so wrong, or it could have just like stayed the course and not taken any chances and not insulted anyone. But no, this thing made choices, and good choices at that. Good movie making decisions happened for The Fire Inside. So please go watch this movie. I can't recommend it enough. And that is my review, I suppose. I'll see you in the next review. Goodbye.